Hey guys, welcome to another YouTube video. My name is Ray Breezee, and in this video I'm going to be talking about 4 things I wish I had known before buying a 4K camera. Let's talk about it. Alright guys, so the first thing that I want to talk about, and I wrote it down because I have really bad memory. So the first thing is once you buy a 4K camera, so the camera that I ended up buying, I have the Sony a7 III, and I love the camera, super great. There's a ton of stuff that I had to learn about it, but besides that, the first thing you're gonna need to actually properly edit 4K video is a 4K display monitor. And so I actually have that. You guys can kind of see it in the back. But the main reason that you need it is so supposedly there's a spectrum between most computers, and you're supposed to have something called HDR and true color display. So if you don't have that, when you're editing video on a monitor that doesn't have that, you're either going to be editing in something that's already too magenta or too green. So those are the 2 spectrums for the monitor from what I researched. And practically, if you're editing 4K video, you're not doing it properly unless you're in the middle of the spectrum. And supposedly, the 4K True Color and HDR monitors are supposed to get you as close as possible to the middle of that spectrum. So when people play the video, whether it be on their phone or on the TV or anything like that, they're already going towards one part of the spectrum. But if you're right in the middle, it'll look great in both, in either in a phone or a TV, depending on which way that it's calibrated and stuff like that. So that's the first thing that you have to know before getting a 4K camera, is that you're gonna have to get at least a 4K monitor to properly color correct things. So that's one thing that I never knew and that I wish that someone had told me. The monitor cost me quite a bit, so yeah. Anyway, so the second thing is you're gonna need a good computer. So right here you can skimp out on a GPU, and I'm gonna talk, this is gonna be the 4th thing that I'm gonna talk about, the little hack that you can do. But you need a really good computer. Luckily I have an i7 Coffee Lake on my computer, so I was doing fine with videos from like 1 to 12-15 minutes. But I just worked on a documentary for a buddy of mine, and man, it could render the color grading and everything, but once I started adding effects to in like Premiere, in Adobe Premiere, the computer just wasn't really responding that much, and it was a lot, and just going back and forth and having to wait on the renders was kind of annoying, and it slowed down my work. And then when I was exporting, it took forever and stuff. So I ended up getting a GPU. You can render stuff using the GPU and the CPU. I know this is all like random stuff, but you can render it using Adobe Media Encoder. I forget the names of the stuff. I have no clue why. But you could render stuff. Was I even recording on this? Yes. Alright, cool. I freaked out for a moment. I thought I wasn't recording. But anyways, let's talk about Adobe Media Encoder. Alright, so you can render using the GPU and the CPU in Media Encoder. You just kind of have to click on it and stuff. But I might make a video on this, I might not. It really depends. But my old GPU sucked. It would take me about 2-3 hours to render like 15 minutes. Right now I rendered a 30-minute clip in an hour, so that really ends up saving you time, and then you can move on to the next thing, or if you want to edit photos and stuff, it just makes it faster. But the way around this is, the 4th thing that I'm going to be talking about, is that there's these things called proxies. And practically what the proxies do, if you're using Adobe, which is what I use, you kind of have to create a couple templates so that it creates these proxies. But the proxies are practically, it downscales your video footage so that when you're editing it, you click a button which brings up the proxies, which plays it at 720 or 1080 depending on what you made the presets. But that's practically the little hack about it. And so that really helped me out at first, but sometimes I would just like it does take a while to do the rendering, and so it was kind of defeating the purpose, at least for me, of editing, because I would be making proxies for about like an hour or two because I had clips, or like I had practically anywhere from between to like 50 to like 70 gigabytes, or sometimes even 120 of video, and so that would take forever. And the fourth thing that I wanted to talk about is practically memory. 4K takes a lot of memory. I bought a 128 gigabytes memory card, someone that I'm using right now, but man, like, I'm not surprised if I'm shooting for 3 or 4 hours that it will almost fill it all the way up. And so you're dealing with a lot of memory. Luckily, I have everything on an external hard drive and stuff like that, but man, it's just a lot of stuff that I didn't know before buying a 4K camera. But of course you have to adjust, or you sell the camera and you do other stuff, or you get your old camera and stuff. But it's just stuff that I never knew, and a couple obstacles that I had to get out the way and I had to figure out, and just a couple things that I wish someone would have told me. But anyways, I don't really want to drag out this video. I don't like watching YouTubers who talk too much and don't get straight to the point. But that's about it. Anyways, if you really appreciate that information, make sure you subscribe to the channel. This channel is practically just about being a videographer and a photographer and doing that full time. I consider myself a creative artist, but I also consider businesses or anybody a creative artist. But at the end of the day, like, if you do video or photography or anything like that, make sure you're subscribed. You won't regret it. But yeah, peace.